By Thursday morning, the bananas you bought on Monday have changed. The yellow is freckled brown. One has a soft spot near the middle. Another gives under your thumb like wet bread. You tell yourself they are still fine. Maybe banana bread. Maybe smoothies. But by Saturday, half the bunch is headed for the trash. That is not just fruit going bad. It is a quiet leak in the kitchen. A few dollars here, a few dollars next week. The kind of waste modern shopping teaches you to ignore because it feels small. But old, careful households did not treat it as small. They watched the stems, kept the bunch dry, and used simple things already in the house: a towel, wrap tops, even a teaspoon of salt. So why does the grocery store never tell you the one tiny place on a banana bunch that determines whether it lasts days or weeks? Sarah Hirschberger learned the answer in the kind of kitchen where nothing useful was thrown away too soon. She was raised around plain household habits passed down through the women in her family, not fancy, not written for strangers, just tested at the sink, the pantry shelf, and the wooden table after supper. In her grandmother's house, those habits lived in a cloth-covered notebook. Its pages held pencil marks, food stains, and little savings that actually mattered. How to keep onions from sprouting, how to stretch soap, how to make fruit last when a trip to town was not happening again tomorrow. And in that notebook was a banana method so simple it sounds almost too small. Wash them, dry them completely, wrap the crown, and store them cool and apart. That matters because most people assume bananas ripen like a timer has been set inside the fruit. Green on Monday, yellow by Wednesday, brown by the weekend, inevitable. But bananas do not spoil evenly just because they sit in a bowl. Moisture, warmth, crowding, and one little cluster of stems speed the whole thing up. The whole secret begins at the crown, where the stems meet and the ripening clock starts ticking. Look closely at a bunch of bananas and you will see the mistake almost everyone makes. They watch the peel. They look for green at the tips, freckles on the sides, brown patches near the curve. But the peel is not changing at the same speed from end to end. A banana does not ripen like a light bulb turning on all at once. The fruit responds to small pockets of warmth, pressure, moisture, and gas. The busiest place is not the smooth yellow side. It is the crown. That tight knuckle, where all the stems join, is one of the main places ethylene gas escapes. Ethylene is the natural ripening signal bananas give off. It tells the fruit to soften, sweeten, and break down. That is useful when you want green bananas to become edible. It is a problem when 6 bananas are pressed together in a warm bowl. An open stem acts like a little vent. One banana releases gas. The next banana sits beside it. The stems touch. The gas lingers around the bunch instead of drifting away. Soon the whole cluster is sharing the same ripening signal, even if one banana was farther along than the others. That is why the crown matters more than the bowl. If the stems are exposed, the bunch moves fast. If the stems are sealed properly, the pace slows. Not stopped, slowed. That difference matters in a real kitchen. You are not trying to keep a banana picture perfect and bright yellow for a month. That is not how fruit works. You are trying to delay the collapse, keep the flesh firm longer, and buy more edible days before the inside turns wet and bruised. A careful household does not need a gadget for that. It needs to know where the clock is loudest. But sealing that crown before cleaning it is how people accidentally trap the very thing that ruins the fruit early. Before you wrap anything, take the bunch to the sink. Fill a basin with cool water. Not hot, not icy. Cool water is enough. Then stir in about 2 teaspoons of plain salt until it disappears. Now lower the bananas in gently. You are not soaking the fruit like laundry. You are washing the peel. Roll each banana through the water with your fingers and pay attention to the crown. Let that tight stem cluster sit in the mild salt water for about a minute. That minute matters. By the time bananas reach your kitchen, they have been cut, stacked, boxed, loaded, touched, misted, bumped, and handled under bright store lights. The peel can carry dust, sugar traces, packing residue, and tiny bits of organic matter from the trip. None of that means the banana is unsafe. It means the outside is not clean. And if you seal a dirty crown, you trap that grime right where mold likes to begin. The salt water does not magically stop ripening. It is not a chemical shield. It simply helps loosen what is clinging to the peel, especially in the folds around the stems. Then comes the step everyone rushes: drying. Lift the bunch out and lay it on a clean towel. Wipe every banana. Turn the bunch over. Open the crown with your fingers, just enough to get the towel into the joints. Press, blot, and dry until there is no dampness hiding between the stems. Not mostly dry, bone dry. Moisture trapped in the crown becomes a little greenhouse. Warm kitchen air, leftover residue, and a wet stem cluster can turn into early mold long before the fruit itself needed to fail. This is the kind of small work older households respected. Not fancy, just careful. A few minutes at the sink can save food that modern convenience teaches people to waste. Once the crown is clean and bone dry, the real preservation step can finally work. Now look at the crown. That rough-knuckled cluster at the top is the part most people ignore, but it is the part that needs the tightest seal. Before you wrap it, trim away anything that will keep the plastic from lying flat. If a stem has a torn flap, a split edge, or a bruised, mushy bit hanging loose, snip it clean with kitchen scissors. Do not cut deep into the fruit, just remove the ragged pieces. You want a dry, solid surface. Now take a small square of plastic wrap and press it over the crown. Push it down between the stems. Pull it tight around the base. Twist it if you need to. The goal is not to decorate the bunch. The goal is to seal the stem area away from open air. Loose plastic does almost nothing. If it sits like a little hat on top, air still moves through the gaps. The bananas keep breathing. The crown keeps releasing and receiving ethylene, the natural ripening gas that tells the fruit to soften, sweeten, and brown. A tight wrap slows that exchange at the main release point. That is the whole trick. You are not stopping ripening forever. You are turning down the speed, like closing a stove damper instead of letting the fire roar. And if you want the best results, do not keep the bunch together. Separate the bananas one by one, then wrap each individual stem. It takes a few extra minutes, but it changes the outcome because one soft banana can pull the rest along. When bananas touch at the crown, they share the same little cloud of ripening gas. One overripe piece becomes a signal to the others. Separated and sealed, each banana has to ripen on its own schedule. That is how careful households stretched food. Not by buying something special, by noticing the small leak, the small bruise, the small opening where waste begins. But even a perfectly wrapped stem cannot save bananas if they are bruised, heated, or stored in the wrong place. Where you put them matters as much as how you wrap them. A banana can have a sealed stem and still fail in 3 days if it is left in a heap. That pile in the fruit bowl looks harmless, but every point of pressure becomes a bruise. And a bruise is not just a brown spot, it is damaged tissue. Damaged tissue ripens faster, softens faster, and starts pulling the rest of the fruit downhill. So do not stack them. Hang the bunch if you can. A simple banana hook keeps the weight off the sides and lets air move around the fruit. If you do not have one, lay the bananas on a plate or shallow dish with a little space between each one, not crowded, not pressed against apples, not buried under oranges. Give them room. Then look at the light. A sunny windowsill is one of the worst places for bananas. It feels old-fashioned and pretty, but the sun warms the peel and warmth speeds the whole ripening process. The fruit is already giving off its own signals. Heat turns the volume up. Choose a cool, dim place instead. A pantry shelf. A shaded counter. A corner away from the stove, the toaster, and the afternoon sun. You are not trying to chill them, you are trying to keep them steady. And the refrigerator needs an honest answer. If your bananas are already ripe, the refrigerator can help hold them a little longer. The peel may turn dark, even almost black, but the fruit inside can stay firm and usable. That scares people, but it is mostly cosmetic. Green bananas are different. Put them in the cold too soon, and they may never sweeten properly. The peel can darken while the inside stays starchy and dull. Cold does not pause a green banana neatly, it can interrupt it. So the rule is simple: protect them from pressure, heat, harsh light, and early cold. This is where the method stops sounding like a kitchen trick and starts looking like an older way of running a household. That older way usually lived in a notebook, not a fancy cookbook, a small worn notebook in a kitchen drawer with flour on the cover and pencil marks in the margins. One page might say how long eggs kept in the cellar. Another might list when peaches had to be canned. Another might note that bananas lasted longer when the stems were covered and the bunch was kept away from other fruit. That was not superstition, it was record keeping. In Amish and Mennonite households, and in many Depression-era homes, waste had a number attached to it. A loaf gone moldy was not just annoying. It was flour, fuel, labor, and cash lost. A basket of fruit turning soft too soon meant fewer lunches, fewer pies, fewer breakfasts stretched across the week. So grandmothers wrote things down because memory was not reliable enough when money was tight. And this habit was not only found around plain farms or old family kitchens. You see the same thinking in agricultural extension pamphlets and home economics guides from the early 20th century. They taught ordinary families how to store apples, potatoes, onions, greens, and ripe fruit with fewer losses, not with gadgets, with temperature, air, dryness, separation, and timing. Attention, that is the real method. Modern shopping teaches you to buy, toss, and replace. Older households could not afford that rhythm. They watched where food sat. They noticed what spoiled first. They learned that one small part of a banana bunch, the stem end, could change the pace of ripening because that is where the fruit releases much of its ripening signal. Not magic. Discipline. A careful household kept its dignity by refusing to let small wastes become normal. And once you see why older households worked so hard to keep food longer, the modern grocery aisle starts looking very different. Now picture the banana table at the grocery store. The bunches are loose. The crowns are uncovered. The fruit is stacked in a mound where the bottom layer carries the weight of everything above it. Every shopper picks up one bunch, presses another, turns a third, and puts it back. That is not evil, it is retail. A store needs fruit to look full, bright, and ready today. Open air helps bananas ripen evenly on display. Loose bunches are easy to grab. A big yellow pile sells better than a careful row of protected fruit, but that system is built for movement, not long storage in your kitchen. A banana that gets bruised on Monday may not show it until Wednesday. A crown left open keeps releasing its ripening signal. A bunch sitting beside apples, avocados, or tomatoes receives even more of that signal from nearby fruit. Then by the weekend you are back at the store. Again, that does not require a secret conspiracy. It only requires incentives. Stores profit when produce moves quickly. Households lose when produce dies quietly on the counter. And that little loss feels too small to measure. 3 bananas here, half a bunch there, maybe $9 a month. But over a year, that is more than $100 for fruit you already carried home, already paid for, and never got to eat. Older households notice those leaks because they had to. Modern convenience trains you not to. So the store may never point to the one tiny place that controls the clock, because the clock is not their problem once the bananas are in your cart. The answer to the opening question is simple, but the real payoff is what you do with the bananas that finally do get too ripe. So that is why the grocery store never teaches the crown trick. Their job is to sell bananas that look good today. Your job is to make them feed your family for as many days as possible. And the whole method is simple. Wash the bunch in salt water to clear away what came home on the peel. Dry it completely, especially around the crown. Wrap the stems tight so the ripening signal slows down. Then store the bananas cool, separated, and away from apples, tomatoes, and avocados. That is it. Not expensive, not fancy, just careful. And remember, a spotted peel does not mean spoiled fruit. Very often it means the banana inside is sweeter, softer, and perfect for oatmeal, pancakes, or a loaf of banana bread. That is the point of an old household habit like this. It keeps small waste from becoming normal. It protects the food you already paid for. Try it with your next bunch, then come back and comment how many days your bananas lasted, and tell us where you are watching from. Thank you for watching.